Okay, in the last video we solved a couple simple equations using algebra, and now we're going to do at least the first equation. If we have time, we'll also get the second equation on the graphing calculator. So using a simple example is kind of a good way to get a good idea of how to use the graphing calculator, and then when you have something that's more complicated that you don't necessarily want to plug in all the way, you can use the same techniques that we used here, just with more complicated numbers. So pretty much when you have any algebraic equation, it has a left-hand side and a right-hand side. And when you're solving an algebraic equation, you're pretty much finding what values of x does my left-hand side equal my right-hand side. So for example, the first equation that we did in the last video was 2x minus 8 equals negative 2. So our left-hand side would be 2x minus 8, and right-hand side is negative 2. So pretty much you're going to put your left-hand side in your y1, your right-hand side in your y2. You're going to graph it, and then use the intersection feature on your calculator to find where those two curves cross, the point where those curves cross, and that is going to pretty much be our solution. So this example is the one that we did in the previous video. So our equation is 2x minus 8 equals negative 2. So we have, so this is our left-hand side, 2x minus 8, and negative 2 is going to be our right-hand side. So if we set both of these guys equal to y, you'll see that these are both lines. So pretty much we can graph this line, and then where those two lines intersect is going to be our solution for x. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and turn our calculator on. And let me get in on the screen here, see everything a little bit better. So I'm going to press this y equals button right here. And I already have it entered, or no, that's a different one. So we have 2x minus 8 is our left-hand side. So in our y1 here, we're just going to use our calculator to type 2. We're going to use this button up here for x. This is our variable button. 2x minus 8. So that's in our y1 there. And then down in our y2, we're going to do the same thing. It's just a negative 2. One thing that I kind of want to note is the difference between this button right here, this negative button, so you see that, and then this button here, the minus button. If we move in a little bit, you see how the minus is different from the negative. So if you have a negative number, like here we have a negative 2, and here we have a minus 8, you want to make sure to use the minus for the minus 8 and the negative for the negative 2. That's just kind of something that when you use the calculator, you just kind of pick whatever minus and then just kind of go with it. And if you're getting some weird answers from your calculator, it might be because you have the negative and the minus button switched. So just a little tip there. So we got our lines entered. We're going to press this graph button right here, and then it's going to graph out our two curves. So this makes sense, right? Y equals 2x minus 8. That's going to be a line with slope 2 and y-intercept of negative 8, right? So that's going to be that line right there. And then y equals negative 2 is just a horizontal line at y equals negative 2. So looks like we have these entered in properly. And then we're just going to follow the steps to find the intersection. So we have second, we want to press this blue second button, and then calc right here, this button here. And then we're going to get a menu, and we want to know where these two curves cross. So we're going to go down to number 5 here, and we're going to choose intersect. Just go ahead and press enter for intersect. And then what you'll see is that the calculator is asking for first curve. So if we use these two side-to-side keys, what we can do is we can move that little cursor there along this first curve, because this was the first one that we entered, right? We entered our left hand side in first. And pretty much what we want to do is we want to use our arrow keys to move this cursor right around the intersection of both of those lines. And then I'm going to press enter. So there's that. And then zoom in so you can see it. Whoops. My apologies. I'm going to have to restart this process. If you press something that messes it up, you have to restart. Okay, so first curve, we use our arrow keys to get the cursor right there and press enter. Second curve, it's the same idea. Only now, see how this cursor is here on the second curve. So we're going to move that and just right around where the intersect is, and we always press enter after that. When the calculator asks you for a guess, you can pretty much just put this cursor just right where it stays. Just put it as close to the intersect as you can. For two simple lines that kind of cross an obvious spot, your guess isn't too important, but you just want to make sure that it's close to the intersection of those curves, and then we'll press enter one more time. And then the calculator, after all of that, will say intersection x equals 3, y equals -2. So what that means is that these two curves right here intersect each other at an x value of 3 and a y value of -2. So our solution for x is +3, and this is the algebra that we did in the previous video, and you'll see that we also have +3 there. So just a quick introduction to graphing lines, and I'll go more in depth with the graphing calculator in some future videos when we get to problems where it's necessary to mess with our window, and we could also do some fun things with linear models and other types of models as we progress further.